Hakadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Sotah Daf Amud Aleph. Yeah, 26a1. The Gemara is talking about now, there's going to be a machloket to do with making a sotah drink. And the Gemara says, Meuberet chavero, meneket chavero. When we're talking about a woman that she's pregnant, or that she's feeding, and she gets married to someone, that we said that they're not allowed to. You remember, we spoke about it yesterday, that they're not allowed to get married. Right? Lo shotot velo notlo ketubah. They said they don't drink, but they don't take a ketubah. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Because since it was prohibited for him, mitzad gezerat chachamim, to come to get married to them, so therefore it's going to be prohibited. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Shaya Rabbi Meir omer, but Rabbi Meir used to say, Lo yisa adam me'ober chavero meneket chavero, ve'im nasa yosiv velo yachzir olamit. You just understand what you just said. Powerful statement. Yeah? We just said that if right now a person is not allowed to get married to me'uberet chavero, meneket chavero. Remember, me'uberet chavero means that she's already pregnant or that she's feeding. And if he does get married to her, he has to take her out, he has to give her a get, and he can never marry her again. It's a powerful statement. Never get married to her again. Right? You understood the concept of me'uberet chavero. Which one?
She's pregnant from another man.
Well, obviously, if it's his own wife that she's pregnant from, there's no problem. Right? We're talking about this me'uberet chavero or meneket chavero. The reason why we said is that if she's already pregnant from another man, and this man now gets married to her, it's another man gets married to her, so then he could crush the baby, right? Purposely of a kilu during relations. He basically puts pressure in order to kill the baby because it's not his child, and he doesn't want to start bringing up another person's child. So that's why they're not allowed to get married to a me'uberet chavero. Meneket chavero is because if she's going to become pregnant again during she's breastfeeding, so then what happens is that she cannot feed her baby. That baby will die. So the guy doesn't care if he becomes pregnant. Because for him, it's not even his own child. So, become pregnant. What does he care? The opposite. He wants his own children. He's going to start waiting now. That if it's after 2 years that she already weaned the child and she fed the child, so now that's it. There's no problem. So, me'uberet chavero, meneket chavero, you're not allowed to get married to them. If you did get married to them, since it was done b'isur, says Rabbi Meir, you have to give them a get, and you're never allowed to get married to them again. That's the shita of Rabbi Meir. Chachamim omrim, no, yotzi, u'shiyagia zmano lichnos, yichnos. Says Chachamim, no, you have to divorce her. But after the 24 months of the feeding, then he could get married to her again. Meaning, according to the rabbis, okay, they also told her, no, you have to divorce and everything that you want, but they didn't go that far. Meaning they didn't go out kedekach that they have to actually come and do this. Fine. Next, varove. Right? We're talking about now a bachur. Okay, because it's like a ravia is a child, right? So basically, you're talking about a young person that he went and he got married to an akara uzekina. Imagine right now, you have a 20-year-old, he gets married to a 45-year-old or whatever, meaning he got married to somebody that's older. Or which one?
He likes older women.
So he went and he got married to an older woman, or whether it's a zikina or a kara, so even a woman that's sterile. Then lo yishal bani mikara. Now he doesn't have children beforehand. Lo shotav lo take ketubah. The same thing. She does not drink the sotah waters, or she does not take the ketubah. The reason why is because since he's obligated in piriyav rivya and procreating, so it was a suit for him to get married to her and to stay married to her. So the fact that he did that, right? So therefore, it's kilu. That's why there's going to be the prohibited. Okay, it's prohibited to do so. Rabbi Elazar omer. Rabbi Elazar comes and he says, right? He comes and he says, Rabbi Elazar omer, yacholu lisa acheret velifrotu lobot hemena. He says, you know what he could do, right? What he could do is that he could come and he could get married to another woman and have piriyav rivya with her, which means like that. The only yisur and get married to her, right? Meaning to this woman that she's elderly or this woman that she's sterile.
Kids anymore.
She cannot have kids anymore. That's what we call her akara. Akara means she's sterile,
45.
right? And no, I said akara or a zikina,
So
right? Akara, no, akara could be even in 20. Akara is any age. Right. Remember, sterile just means sterile, right? The sterile just means sterile, right? But then there's a concept of akara, and then there's a concept of zikina. So zikina, you're right. Usually zikina could be whenever menopause. It could be 50, it could be 55, it could be 45. Depends on the woman, right? There's no fixed set of when menopause is.
If she cannot have kids, then she doesn't drink.
So one more time, the rove is a bachur, that he gets married to a sterile woman or to a zikina. He doesn't have any other children. So again, she doesn't drink and she doesn't take the ketubah. Rabbi Elazar says, no, he could get married to somebody else and have children from the other wife. Aval, Hamkaneh la'arusatol shomeret yavam shelo. But if he's going to do kinui to his arusa or to shomeret yavam, remember his arusa is to his fiance or to his shomeret yavam. Umishekinsani stira, and then afterwards she did the stira when she was already married. Or she drinks, or she takes her ketubah, or she doesn't take the ketubah. No better to meneket atzmo if it's his own wife that's pregnant, or his own wife that she's feeding. Or she drinks, or she doesn't take the ketubah. A person that is roveh, that is a bachur, that he gets married to an akara zikena, and he has children, wife and children. Or she's going to drink or take a ketubah, not take a ketubah. Eshet mamzer, the wife of a mamzer. Right? לממזר, ושנתי לנתי, ושת גר ועבד משוחרר, והעילונית, או שותה לא נותנת גדובה. She either drinks, or she doesn't take a gduvah. Right? The natin was a certain group of conversions that they were not really accepted in the Jewish nation. Okay, so therefore, either she drinks, or she doesn't take a gduvah. But it's
for all of them.
Because he was permitted. Right? No. She has the option. She either drinks, or she doesn't take a gduvah. You understood?
But does the man have a choice?
Now it says, so everyone understood that means since the mamzer could get married to a mamzeret, or the natin could get married to a natina, there was no isur in the marriage. So therefore, in such a case where there's no isur in the marriage, a mamzer could get married to a mamzeret.
And the kids are not
They are mamzerim. Of course they are. It continues lineage. A mamzer could only get married to a mamzeret or a gioret. And then the children are mamzerim.
So how do we know
if we find out, so that's it. From Tani Miha, there we learn Ailonit Tiyufte de Rav Nachman, but the Ailonit is going to be a question against Rav Nachman. So he comes and he says, Amalech Rav Nachman is going to answer you. It's a Tanai, it's a Machlok Tanaim. The Amalek Kaitanan, I'm saying this Tana. The Tanya was willing to write Shimon Lazar men. Ailonit lo shotav lo notel ketubah. According to the Shita of Shimon Lazar, and Ailonit, remember Ailonit means is that she doesn't have, she's sterile. But I mean, she doesn't have the womanly simanim that she's a woman. You know, she doesn't have pubic hairs. Her chest area is flat, like a mountain. Her voice is meaning she's flat. She doesn't have
so not
like a mountain. Yeah, it's a pun on words. It's play on words, right? She's flat. The what's it called? Her voice is hard. Right, is not hard, it's like deep, right? It's deep. You understand? So now the Gemara says like this. So the Gemara says, why do we say al ailonit lo shotav lo nitekudah? She doesn't drink or she doesn't take a kedubah. But it says v'niketav nizor azara. That means somebody that could be mazriya. Yatzta zo an ailonit cannot be darkal azriya. She does not be mazriya. Meaning she doesn't have this of emissions. And therefore, since she doesn't have this ejaculation, so therefore what happens is that she does not drink, right, at all. But according to the rabbis, what do they do with it? They needed that which we learned in a Braita. The Braita says, what happens if she was akara? And all of a sudden, right, she drank and she's pure. Nifkedet, she would have children. These are the words of Rabbi Kiva. Amalo Rabbi Shmuel says Rabbi Shmuel, in Keneso, Yisatru kol akarot v'ipakadu. That's what all the akarot, that's what they're going to do. So, right? Zu, you see this? What? Meaning like this. All the women that are sterile, they have a trick. You want to have children. Do kinu yustira. Right? Your husband's going to come and be jealous of you. He's going to say, don't be alone with that husband. With that man. You go be alone with that man. Have witnesses. You go drink the water. You didn't do anything. Now you're going to have children. It's a good trick, no? It's a very good trick. Now it's a segula for children. Like and now
for the kids for the
other one,
like Abimelech.
Yeah, for Abimelech. So he comes and he says, so now what? This woman, she was a tzaddiket. She didn't want to come and start being alone with a man, start having witnesses, drinking waters. So now what? Because she didn't do that, she's going to lose. So she might tell you yoledet b'tzar, yoledet berevach, nekevot yoledet zecharim, ketzarim yoledet arukim, shechorim yoledet levanim. If a woman came and she used to have, let's say she used to have terrible pregnancies, births, right? You know, labor. She would have terrible labor. All of a sudden she would come and boom, as if like she was a machine, just take them out. He says if she would have only girls, all of a sudden she'll start having boys, right? Let's say right now she was having short children, she would have tall children. Let's say she was having dark children, she would have fair children. Yeah, you know fair is light skinned. Yeah. What? Yeah, he comes and he says, right? So therefore, a person has to understand, right, these halachot. Eshet mamzer, the wife of mamzer, to a mamzer. So it says the Gemara Pshita, obviously, if they were permitted to get married, obviously she's going to drink. And if she doesn't want to drink, she doesn't take the ketubah. Remember, a mamzer and a mamzeret get married to each other.
So if she's
Right?
a mamzeret, it's permitted.
Of course. If he's a mamzer, he could only get married to a mamzeret. If he gets married to any other regular Jew, the children become mamzerim. So for no Jew is going to want to get married to him.
We may all be
But we have no idea today.
Chas v'shalom.
But
What?
nowadays we have no idea.
Nah, the majority of people go after things. Now the tema, I would have thought to say apush psulin lo lepush. I would have thought to say that, you know what, it's better that we don't have psulim, which means that since all the generations are going to be continuing becoming mamzerim, I would have said we don't want to make shalom between them. Meaning, if there's a problem of sotah between a mamzer and mamzeret, kadish, let them get divorced. Well, you're going to start making shalom between a mamzer and a mamzerah, right? So what are you going to do such a thing? Kamash Balan comes teach you that you don't do this. Right? Whether we're talking about now the wife of the ger, the wife of the Eved Meshuchrar, or an Ailonit, so right, also they either drink or they take the ketubah. Says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. So says the Gemara, I would have thought to say the Bera B'nei Yisrael velo Gerim. When it says the Bera B'nei Yisrael, to speak B'nei Yisrael, so Gerim are not considered B'nei Yisrael. So for since the Gerim are not considered B'nei Yisrael, so they don't do have Parashat Sotah, Kamash Malan comes to teach you that we don't say that, but rather also the Gerim are part of the parasha as well. So ask the Gemara V'ima Chanami. Why don't we say that in a Chanami that it's like that? It says no, the Marta is including. So since the Marta is a Rebuyahu, it's including. So therefore, we're going to say that the Bera B'nei Yisrael, right, and it's not going to be even for Gerim. Eshet Kohen Shotah. We said the wife of a Kohen is also going to drink. Says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. I would have thought to say V'hilo nipasa asura hanipasa muteret v'zo hilo v'nipasa asura azayima lo tishteh. Which means this. We would have thought to say that by an Eshet Yisrael, if she was caught doing the Avirah, so she's prohibited to her husband. If she was not caught doing the Avirah, she's permitted to her husband. But, right, which means caught, meaning that even if it's going to be by force or not by force, willing, it doesn't matter. But here, it doesn't matter, because the wife of a Kohen, whether it's going to be done by force or not by force, she's always prohibited to her husband. A wife of a Kohen, Kadish. She was violated, doesn't matter. She's prohibited to her husband. So I would have thought to say that she doesn't drink. Kamash Malan, that she does drink. If she does come and she checks and she's pure, so she's permitted to her husband. Says Shida, obviously. Some Ravuna says, no, she became weakened from the waters. Meaning that even though she became weakened from the waters, but she's still going to become permitted. Fine. So says the Gemara, mitznavda? He says, 1 second. How did she become weak? If she became weak, that means that the water tested her and she actually committed adultery. So says the Gemara, mitznavda derech evarim. No, she started becoming very, very, like, for example, her head, but meaning that she started becoming weak, but with her head or other things, but not because of anything else. So I would have thought, say, Hazuni, that would really be met, right? I would say that she actually zinta, she had relations. So why didn't the waters check her? Mishum de be'onazanai, because she did it on purpose. Ulgabe Kohen, not purpose, sorry, it was, she was violated. Okay? Ulgabe Kohen asiran, by Kohen, she's prohibited. So Kamash Malan comes teach you, right, that she's still going to be permitted to her husband. Next, Eshet Sari Shotah, right? So it means even a woman that she's married to a sterile man, she's going to drink. Pshita, obviously. So he says it has to be somebody else other than the husband. And here, the husband has to be a person that he could actually lie down and have relations and everything normal. Here, this guy can't do that. Kamash Malan, that the waters will still check. So it says here, a person could come and warn through all the arayot. It doesn't matter. That means kinui happens by everybody. So says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. Kavav Mubet, 26b. Maudutem, I would have thought to say nitmea shte pamim. When it says nitmea twice, Hechal bal v'Hechal boel, one is to the husband, one is to the boel. Hechad the kamitzas v'azanut, so she would become prohibited with the znut. Havalaha hoi v'sirakam, and since anyway she's already prohibited. Aim, I would say lo that there's no din of sotah. Kamash Malan, that there is a din of sotah even with arayot, which means even if there was going to be an arayot, which is going to be prohibited, right? Okay, it's going to be permitted. Fine. That means there's still going to be the concept of the sotah. Next, chutz mina katan, except for a child. Isha marachmana velo katan. It means an ish and not a katan. V'she'eno ish lemiute. What does it come to exclude? So it says ilem lemiute shachuf. If you're going to tell me now, it's going to be lemiute shachuf. It says shachuf is somebody that does not have strength. That means his organ cannot become live, right? He doesn't have the strength. So if it's like that, Shmuel says shachuf mekanin ledo. So what are you doing? You're going to come and you're going to do that. he says posel bitruma. It's going to be pasul bitruma, which means that he's going to be even mechalel his wife with truma. So that means this guy that's shechus, he's not sotah. There's no sotah here involved in such a guy over here. But since he cannot have relations, it's not like a regular man. So says the Gemara, mekanina yido pshita, obviously. So he says, ma'u detema, I would have thought to say, v'shachav yishotah shechvat zera menachmana v'ala barhachyu. This guy that he cannot become like a manly thing, he does not have shechvat zera. Kamashmaran comes to teach you that also you still have this halachot. Posel bitruma is going to be posel bitruma, which means obviously pashpshita. To say, I would have thought to say, only if he has children to be mechalel. This guy, he does not have children. If he cannot become hard, so therefore what happens? That means he cannot have children because the zera does not come out like an arrow, and therefore he cannot have children. So Kamashmanan comes to teach you, right, that still it's going to prohibit from the kehuna. He says, but rather it's coming to come and say that the goy does not have sotah. So it says says that means we're going to do kinui stira for a goy, and it's going to be posel bitruma. So mekanim do obviously. So ma'od te'amod thought say nitman shte pemim mechal ba vechal boel hekra te'kamitram sar beznut v'alha hoil be'siru ed kaima ema lo. I would have thought to say that it's only going to be when she becomes prohibited to get married to him. Here the goy, she's always prohibited to get married to a goy. So therefore I would have thought to say that there's no sotah for a goy, right? Which means that the goy is the one that he has to do kinui for a goy. Meaning he suspects his wife of sleeping with a goy. So he does kinui for a goy. He says, I would have thought to say that maybe there's no din of sotah. That there is a din of sotah even for a goy. Meaning that if he suspects her of going with a goy, he does kinui for a goy and it actually helps. Okay? So, and it's going to be posel bitruma. Obviously, if she sleeps with a goy, obviously she's going to be prohibited to eat truma. So Mao the time I would have thought to say Uvat Kohen K'tieli Zar Rachmana, when the Bat Kohen is going to get married to a stranger, the Torah says the Baravaya, it's only if there's a marriage. Avadela Baravaya lo, but if there's no marriage, no. Kamashmalan de Pasil, I would have thought to say that it's not going to be posel. So Rabbi Yochanan how do we know that if you have a goy that has relations with the daughter of a Kohen or the daughter of a Levi or a Bat Yisrael that they're going to disqualify her from eating truma? So which means like this: a goy has relations with the bat kohen, a bat levi, a bat Israelit, gamarnu. She does not eat truma. She becomes prohibited to get married to a kohen. They disqualify her. Exactly, she becomes a zuna. Exactly, she disqualified as zuna, right? Because we don't say that the zuna doesn't mean necessarily that she's sleeping around with 100 men, even if she slept with this one guy. But this is a good non-Jew, so it will make her into a zona. So says Gemara, ve'ela l'miutim. What is coming to exclude? Amar Papa l'miutim be'ema. This comes to exclude that if he comes and he says, "Don't be alone with this animal." Why? The end znut be'ema. There's no znut by a be'ema. Meaning, if a woman has relations with an animal, it's not considered znut. It's znut, but it's not considered znut of ba'alat znut. Which one? No, things come out. What are you talking? So now he comes and he says over here like this. He says to Ravashi, how do we know that there's no znut for a bema? The Tanya we learned in a Braita, etnan kelev, which is a behema, which was given as a payment for a zona. Umechil zona, and we're talking about now like money which was given to a zona. Mutarin shneimar gam shnehem shnaim v'lo arba. It's two of them and not four. Which means the shnaim that we talk about, the two cases, which was etnan kelev umechil zona. So therefore, etnan kelev means is that reviat behema is not considered znut. Meaning the fact of having like bestiality is not considered znut. So therefore, it says ve'ela shechvat zera. So what do I say? Shechvat zera. Coming to exclude something else. What is davar acher? Which means like this: if the husband came and he only told her, "Don't have relations," not normally like anal, right, which is through the back, and not like the normal way. So therefore, in such a case, it's not considered kinui, and therefore, even though she did the stira with the guy, it's not considered a sotah. Sotah has to be that everything done is done the normal way. You understand? That's what we're talking about. Right? But rather Rava says also prat, right? This is also coming to exclude a woman that she's doing a derech evarim, which means that she's having relations, but without the actual relations, meaning that they're together, you know, like they're lying down together and they're doing many different things, but there's no actually penetration of basically, right, of the organ going inside of her. So Amar Rabbi says pritzuto be'almahi, right? 1 second, but that's pritzut. But the Torah also prohibits a woman to become pritzut, right? So he says, what's going on over here exactly? right? So he says, Rabbi says, he told her no, Beneshikat Ever. Neshikat Ever just means that the male organ touches, right, the female organ, but it doesn't actually go inside. That's called Neshikat Ever. So this goes according to the Mandamar that Ha'ara'a is just putting in the crown, meaning the fact that the crown of the male organ goes inside, there's a crown, yeah? So the fact that the crown goes inside, that's already considered relations. Aval Neshika v'lo klum, but Neshika itself is nothing. That's why the pasuk came to mutate to exclude Neshika. According to the Mandamar, that Hara is Neshika, which means Hara just means Neshika. What is Neshika? A kiss is just on top. It's not going in anywhere. So if it's going to be that, that's considered already Hara. So Mike, what are you going to say then? Michael Emema. So says Gemara, Leolam really he made kinui for her for derech evarim. I mean, she's not allowed to have any type of relations with him, even if it's going to be other things as well. So Ma'udetema, I would have thought the same. The pay that the Baal everything has to do with the kpeda, the kpada. How stringent is the husband? Here, the husband is makpid. I mean, the husband does not want her to do anything with this guy. So Kamash Malan comes teach you that when it says shikvat zera, the kinui has to be on bia mamash, meaning that he does not want her to be alone or bichlal with this man. And Amar Shmuel, that's what Shmuel comes and he says to do with Yisa Adam, Duma v'chule v'chule.